Is this thing on? Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most to start your girlfriends and your wives. You can follow me on X Twitter at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X. On Snapchat, BMouth60. Mick, your host with the most. You know what I mean? And on TikTok, Mad Mickey's World. A very warm welcome to Saturday's edition of the DCU Daily. And people keep on having a go at me for having my shirt unbuttoned so low. Do you think you're sexy or something? You're not. It's cringe, mate. Do up your shirt. Well, I'll tell you what happened. This is not my fault, by the way. The other day, right, next door's missus was on her own. He was at work, but he was on his way. He was going to be about an hour, and she wanted some before he was coming home. So I ripped open my shirt. Some buttons broke. Serious. This is a true story. So this is my favourite shirt, so this is why it's so low down. I don't think I'm hot, I don't think I'm sexy, but anyway, it is what it is. I'm putting myself out there, mate. I'm showing a bit of chest. I'm doing what the OnlyFans first traps are doing. If they can do it, I can do it. Anyway, yes, a very warm welcome to Saturday's edition of the DCU Daily. Do you want some more tea? Do you want some more tea spilling from the Den of Nerds podcast? This is becoming very exposing for James Gunn, David Zaslav, and Peter Safran and company, because these guys are really going after them with a lot of tea that I believe, when something spills on my lap and it hurts because it's hot, I believe it. Let's take a listen to this.
Canceling CCXP. This would explain them hiring that former Disney guy that's handling the marketing. This would explain everything. So what I think happened, and this is speculation on my part, but it's also kind of like reading the tea leaves of what's going on here, is that Warner Brothers executives sat down to watch James Gunn's Superman, and in the initial cut, about half of the people in the room, which probably included David Zaslav, hated it and thought it was the wrong tone for Superman. Okay? And because of all the stuff we've been talking about as far as what is at stake for Superman, what is at stake for Warner Brothers was like, whoa. That's why you get a canceled CCXP appearance. That's why the trailer has no dialogue. It's got no dialogue, brother. We haven't heard any of the actual dialogue other than take me home crypto shit. Okay? So maybe that's why they're kind of quietly changing the movie behind the scenes. From what we've heard, they are doing some reshoots and changes. I think maybe cutting some of the humor out. I'm not sure. But that would also explain why they hired this marketing guy, okay? Because here's what I would tell the marketing guy, right? Like, if you bring this marketing guy in here, basically this is the conversation. We might have actually fucked up and made Guardians of the Galaxy Superman. How do we break that ice with the mainstream audience? This guy's job is to take the marketing of Superman, which has happened thus far, which works on a tonal level, and he has to, like, figure out how to fit this way too goofy Superman movie. Because you can't lie to people. You can't, like, hide what it is. At some point, they have to reveal that James Gunn made a James Gunn Superman. They have to reveal. You can't fucking hide that all the way up until the release. Do you understand what I'm saying? So at some point, they gotta break that ice. They gotta let us know. They gotta confirm it. It's a goofy, jokey Superman movie.
So hold on a cotton-picking minute. Half of the Warner Bros. Executives, including David Zaslav, were surprised that they saw a James Gunn Superman goofy movie. What did you expect when you hired the man to write and then direct the movie? Don't forget, this goes back to Hamada and Emmerich. They're the ones who brought James Gunn over to WB when he was temporarily fired by Disney and he was pulled off the Guardians Free situation for making jokes, for being discovered to be making jokes about children being abused. So Disney said, we're a family studio, we can't have someone who's been caught basically doing this. And I can kind of see where Disney are at with that. But personally, I would have made him, I would have forced him to do some work with some, child abuse charities, right? But the problem is, Hollywood have got a bit of an issue there, so that might be a problem. Anyway, you brought him on board. But this goes back to Hamada and Emmerich. They brought him on board, right? They said to him, we need you to write a Superman movie. We think you're the best thing ever. If we allow you to make the DC movie of your dreams, then you've got to agree to at least write a Superman movie. Now that's what happened. So he was kind of forced into writing Superman. He's not a Superman guy. He never wanted to write this Superman movie. And that's probably the bigger issue here. But do you know what this reminds me of? And I think what the guys are saying in the Den of Nerds podcast is bang on. I believe every single word of it. Now, most of it is theory without any evidence, but I think it's pretty obvious that the guy speaking on the Den of Nerds podcast is absolutely spitting facts. But do you know what this reminds me of? Zack Snyder and Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Because this is the same thing that happened. WB saw the movie. In fact, opposite to this, WB really liked it. I remember reading reports, I remember being told by my sources, they liked it, but they were also very scared of it. So basically, they brought in a marketing guru. And the whole idea was to hide what Batman versus Superman was. So what they did was they tried to, in the marketing and trailers, tried to make it look like a popcorn chomping movie. A fight between Batman and Superman, which, by the way, there's only about 9 minutes of in BVS. But very interesting. They tried to hide the movie, hide what it was, and this really damaged Batman versus Superman. Because I think if you watch the Logan marketing, right, you can tell it's a moody, grounded, dark movie. It's in the marketing. They're very honest about what the movie is. And, 20th Century Fox, as it was at the time, it's 20th Century Studios now, which means it's owned by Disney and it's shit. But then they were a proper independent studio. So they did it the right way. They were honest with their audience. And I think one of the problems with BVS is in the marketing wasn't honest with what it was because WB were plopping themselves. I think part of the problem is that if people knew that Batman versus Superman was going to be the way it was, I think they would have been less surprised. People were surprised after watching Man of Steel that the sequel to Man of Steel was that way. Considering how Man of Steel ends in a very light way, welcome to the planet. Hey, yeah, we're in love, we're smiling at each other. Then we get BVS, which is so different, right? Because basically Goyer and Nolan were off the project. That's why the trajectory of BVS changed so much. So it's a very similar situation to that, where they saw BVS, they were scared of BVS, they tried to pretend it was a different type of movie and got themselves in even more trouble. Now, what's going on here, as we know, they've brought in a marketing guru from Disney. But if you look at the marketing guru's, biography, work history, he's not that. He's, everything's from Disney, right? It's interesting, isn't it? They're obsessed with Disney. But was it James Gunn's decision to bring in the marketing guy? Was it Disney? Was it WB's idea? Or was it Gunn's idea? That's very interesting in itself. But if you hire James Gunn to make a Superman movie, you're going to get a James Gunn type of movie. Now, this is a very interesting question because this is bad. If this is all true, and I believe that it is, it's insane. I shouldn't be surprised at this point at the incompetence of new Hollywood studios. But I'm still quite surprised, right? And in a way, James Gunn should have stepped outside of himself for this movie. He should have thought, right, this is really important. I'm telling the story. I'm doing a movie about one of the most famous characters in, fictional history. So I should step outside myself and think logically about this, like Dick Donner did. Dick Donner Dick Donner just come off of making The Omen. He didn't make a superhero horror movie, did he? That would have been insane. And that's what Gunn should have done. But his hubris won't allow him to do that because he believes what all the stands believe, that he's one of the best directors in the history of movie making, which isn't true. He's a good, capable writer-director who will not be remembered in 50 years' time. It's as simple as that. They're facts. I'm spitting facts. That's right. But he thinks he's a lot more than that. So he's too arrogant, right, to actually step outside of himself and make a film that lots of different people can appreciate. But here's another thing. Maybe the general audience might enjoy a goofy, silly Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know what it is. But the guy on the Den of Nerds podcast did make an interesting point about how there's basically no dialogue in the Superman teaser. I never thought about that. And you've got to give it to them, right? They were very clever. They had basically, apart from, the Take Me Home stuff, right? They were clever. They put John Murphy's new rendition of the Williams Superman theme, kind of excites people. It's a good idea. There's basically no dialogue. So could it be the reason there's no other dialogue is because it's so bad and so goofy? If you look at it, it's interesting. It's cut together, some good, neat scenes. And I enjoyed that teaser, right? It's a well-cut teaser. It was cleverly done. Now, the guy on Den of Nerds was talking about maybe they're going to change the movie and do reshoots. I know that James Gunn doesn't like his stuff being changed, right? So, would James Gunn allow this to happen? Well, if David Zaslav says something's happening, it has to happen. Now, Gunn's a bit of a company man and he knows what you have to do to survive in this industry, and he's bent the knee to them quite a few times. Like during the pandemic when he allowed his Suicide Squad movie to go day and date. Don't forget how Nolan reacted. Don't forget how Patty Jenkins reacted to Wonder Woman 1984 going day and date. That was the first movie that went day and date. Jenkins wasn't happy, and she said she wasn't happy, right? But she said basically the movie has to be released, right? But she wasn't happy, and she was honest. Gunn never said anything about going day and date. He never complained. He never responded. And Gunn's normally very open and direct with people on the internet, right? Social media. But I always look out for him to react to certain things. And it's interesting the things that he will talk about and the more important things he doesn't talk about and he isn't direct about and he isn't honest about. So Gunn's a company man, especially now as he's co-CEO of DC Studios. He may be in charge of that studio, if that's what you believe, right? But he's not in charge of WB. And if WB say, we don't like this movie, we don't like the tone of this movie. So, he said the beauty of DC Studios is we're our own studio. No one's going to interfere. The only people who get to decide what happens are me and Peter. That's not true, because DC Studios is a logo owned by WB. And if WB see the movie, and it's true what the guy on if it's true with what the guy on Den of Nerds has actually said, they can say, mate, look at what you've done. It's a freaking joke. It's terrible, because you don't need to be an expert on filmmaking to sit down and watch a Superman movie and think, nah, this isn't going to work. This is not what we need. This is terrible. It's goofy. And don't forget, Gunn jokes don't always land. People say, well, the Dick Donner Superman movie was goofy. It was in places, but it was also very dark in other places. When I'm a kid and Lois Lane dies, I believe she's dead. And when Superman looks up to the heavens and starts going like that and screams, it's such a dark, compelling moment. And you genuinely don't know as a kid what's going to happen next. It's a dark moment. It's a serious moment. So Donner understood when to be funny and when to be serious. And that's why that movie has, lasted the test of time. Something tells me this movie won't. So it's insane. It's absolutely insane, because you've got disagreement now. The studio and Gunn can't agree what direction to go with a movie that's actually been finished. How much can they change? You can't shine a turd, right? We know that. Once you've made something, it's made. And as I say, maybe the public will enjoy this goofy Guardians of the Galaxy Superman movie. I can't see myself getting much out of it, but look, It's an absolute mess. And then you think about rumours of Matt Reeves kind of worried that he's going to lose Abby and DeLuca because they're kind of on his side. What does that mean for him? You know, it's a big, big mess. And I wouldn't put it past Saslav to shelve Supergirl and to shelve Lanterns. He did it to Acme versus Coyote or whatever that, or Roadrunner, or whatever that film was called. He did it to Batgirl. He's done it before. He can do it again. But even the bigger point here, here's the bigger T for you. Is he capable of shelving Superman? Absolutely, yes.